Good evening. I'd like to call the June Steering Legislative and Governmental Committee to order. Our first item of business, we need to approve the minutes from last time. Vice Chairman Phillips, do we have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I've reviewed those, find them in order, and move that they be approved as mailed.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we need to fill a vacancy on the Correctional Work Center Board to fill the unexpired term of Mr. John Taylor. You've received, I believe, 2 applications, one from Mr. Robert Asbury and another from Mr. Larry Jernigan. Those applicants in the audience today.
I'm Larry Jernigan.
All right. If it pleases the committee, I'd like to ask each applicant to just share why they'd like to be appointed, and then we'll ask any questions.
Can you pass those around?
Yeah, sure. Mr. Asbury, would you like to address the committee?
Good evening. I believe most of you probably know me. I've been involved in the county government for 32 years, where I worked in the Sheriff's Department. Recently retired as of last year. Was the jail administrator for the last 11 years at the Sheriff's Department. So I'm a little bit familiar with the way the Correctional Work Center works as far as corrections, the relationships, how it goes between the entire judicial system. So the county spent a lot of money training me over those 32 years, and I don't mind offering my time to give some back.
Thank you, Mr. Asbury. Any questions for Mr. Asbury? Seeing none. Mr. Jernigan.
I'm Larry Jernigan. Some of y'all up here know me. I've been up here before. I worked at Providing Water. I'm a security officer out there, and I'm a substitute bus driver for Rutherford County. I also drive a bus for the Boys and Girls Club in Smyrna. And I've served on the library board 2 times, and I served as the alternate on the bureau board for 2 times. And I appreciate anything anybody do for me. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jernigan. Any questions for Mr. Jernigan? All right. We have a motion.
Motion to nominate both of them and select one.
Second.
Motion and a second.
This is for next 6 months, and then it'd have to be reappointed, reapplied, correct, Mr.
Right,
Chairman?
January 2012, correct. Any other discussion? Ms. Shelton, would you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Black,
Mr. Jernigan.
Commissioner Farley,
Mr. Asbury.
Commissioner Gooch,
Mr. Asbury.
Commissioner Jordan,
Mr. Asbury.
Commissioner Phillips,
Asbury.
Commissioner Coggin,
Asbury.
Mr. Asbury.
Mr. Asbury. Mr. Asbury, you will be approved by or voted on by the full commission on June the 16th in this next room over here at 6 o'clock. If you can be there, that'd be great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jernigan, also for your application. Next, we need to announce 3 vacancies on the Industrial Development Board and Health Education Facilities Board. Those positions that we're announcing are of Mr. Rob Lyons, Mr. Alan Farley, and Mr. David Waldron. Next, we need to announce 2 citizen at large vacancies on the Insurance Committee. We do not appoint these. Those are appointed by the mayor, but we'll still announce those.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
With we're going to have 2 July meetings. June meetings. When will the steering committee meet to appoint those last 2 that you?
The IDB.
Is that the August meeting?
Actually, we will not have to have another June meeting.
I'm sorry. I was talking about the full county commission meeting. But when will the applicants have that stuff in here to apply for so we can vote on it? Because we don't meet in July, so it would be the August meeting.
I guess so. Is that right, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I just want
Yeah,
to
it'll be the August meeting.
make that clear, because we don't,
Yeah, we won't have to.
okay.
All right. And then, yes, thank you, Commissioner Farley. We also need to announce 2 vacancies on the Community Care Board, Ms. Annie Ruth Usselton and Mr. Paul Johnson.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
the insurance committee is rather large, and they're not all confirmed by us. They're all confirmed, I understand, by the county commission. But I asked the mayor tonight, and if he could explain, and he can, because it's all in our policies, on who appoints various members of the insurance committee.
Well, the only 3 members that are actually appointed by the Board of Commissioners are the 3 commissioners that are appointed to serve on the insurance committee. There are other committee members, including 4 at-large members that are appointed by the mayor, and they're simply confirmed by the commission. There are other members of the school board has 2 appointees, the REA has 1, the sheriff has 1, the highway department has 1, so they're a total of about 15 people that are there, but the only one that is actually approved and works its way through this steering committee is those 3 board of commissioners.
Is the makeup of that committee recommended by the state or CTASC or anyone, or is this just something the county come up with
It's just
years
something
ago?
that's evolved over time, and we made a few changes on this back, I don't know, we added some people, let's see, when those minutes were, in '07, we sort of reconstituted and revisited that and got a broad representation of people serving.
Any other questions regarding that? Okay. We also have an appointment of judicial commissioners Suzanne Kaufman and Amy Anderson and Keena Deal. The motion.
Make a motion to approve both.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. And next, Ms. Stevenson, we have a report from our Human Resources Director.
This isn't really a report, it's more of a request or suggestion on my part. We have several boards that are appointed by the steering committee, as you've just done, and announced several vacancies. And this is basically just some guidelines for those boards on how they serve our county and the actions that they take, and just some general guidelines for them to go by, so that if there's ever any issues where, you know, we have some grounds on which to have the communication. I don't think, or as much as I know, since I've been here, that there have been any issues where we've had to ask a board member not to continue, but this is just setting up some guidelines so that if every person knows that's on our boards what we expect as far as professionalism and what the requirements are of being on the boards, as opposed to just being voted on. It's just, if there's any questions or suggestions.
Yeah, I'd like to bring up about the longevity of some of the committees, like the IDB board, that's like 26 years, and BZA 5 years. I think it ought to maybe be restructured, in my opinion. I think it's maybe a little bit too long on some of them. PBA, I'm just opening it, I just like to throw it out there for the rest of the committee, see if they might.
Well, in the scope of what Ms. Stevenson and I were sort of trying to do, we weren't trying to address any of those mechanics as far as length of service. We're just trying to set a tone for expectations of how they should handle themselves and deal with the issues that they're confronted with in a professional way. That's all this really does. What you're suggesting certainly could be done. We probably ought to do that individually by a suggestion of the steering committee of changes that you really feel like we should make in those terms. That would be fine.
Could that be something we add in on this right here?
I'd rather keep
Not
this
on this, I
separate,
think, yet.
because Ms. Stevenson and I don't really have recommendations on that. These are just simply professional kinds of suggestions that we have that they should be at least willing to try to live by, you might say, as they deal with these issues that are confronting them on each of these committees. But I think what you need is so much more important, not more important, but a different scope of things that we ought to look at those independently.
Well, we really don't know the past history, like, for example, the BZA is part of the planning commissions, and there may be some state regulations that sets that term, so we don't know. I mean, that'd be a legal question to, I don't know.
I mean, as far as that goes, I would be, I have no problem in researching what the length of terms of each of these are and determining whether or not those are required under each of those departments for those lengths, you know, because some of them may have, like you said, Tennessee Code may have a length of term. I'll be happy to do that and bring that back to you. This was, as the mayor said, just more of a suggestion based on, we have policies for all of our other employees, and these individuals are appointed. Each of you, when you were newly elected, had new commissioner training, so to speak. So this is more of a thing just to give them some guidelines on how, you know, they're representing the county and how they represent us and what the purpose is other than just being appointed.
Are these, when you say suggest, are you suggesting this to us or suggesting it to them? Do they have the option to sign this if we approve it, or?
Well, I'm requesting that they don't, because if you, if they come and ask to be appointed and you appointed them to represent the county, this is just saying that we want them to treat our employees and the citizens of the county with, it's just basic ethics policy kind of things.
Well, like with the I think the election commission, we don't appoint those. So is it just people that come that we appoint, or?
Yeah, I do have election
Yeah.
commission on there.
The election commission gotta come off here, because you don't
Okay.
control that.
Okay.
Only those that you appoint.
Okay.
Yeah,
The
that
full
is,
commission.
I'm sorry I missed that.
That's okay. So this could be part of our application process.
Yes.
And but as far as existing members, will we require them to, or how would that go?
That's your
That's
call.
up to you.
Okay.
That's-
We don't see any reason why anybody wouldn't sign this
Yeah.
and say they're gonna hold to this standard.
Well, I mean, they're basically, they're not really county employees technically, but they're kind of looked at that way. They have to carry themselves, you know, in a manner that's ethical and,
Well, they're representing this county
Right.
in one form or fashion, and they're, a lot of these boards are handling county business, whether
Right.
it be a hearing of some sort or something like that. So I think that it was just important that we have the same structure that we would for the rest of us.
I think it's a good idea, Mr. Chairman. I make a motion that we approve this, and it's submitted to all future and existing appointees.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
And your motion excluded the election commission?
Yes.
I will remove that. Part two, do you want me to do the research that you spoke of and bring that back to you, or
On the years.
on the boards and stuff?
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I believe that is also number 8 on the agenda as well. Ms. Nolan, next on the list is the Audit Committee. I believe you all had this email to you. We've talked about it for a couple of months.
There should be enough.
I submitted the resolution to the state, and the response that I got back from them is that it does include all the essential components of the audit committee, but they only had one change that they asked for, and that was in section 2, and that was the part 2. And I tried to highlight bold for you these areas that I changed, that they put on there with will be an elected official with the exception of elected county commissioners, members of Board of Education, and members of Road Board. Meaning, the circuit court clerk, register of deeds trustee, county court clerk are all management too, even though they're elected, they're management. And so to ensure independence, those positions do not need to serve on this audit committee.
So the only elected official that can serve the county commissioner, a school board member, and a road board member.
Yes. So that was the only change that they wanted me to put in there. So I've got that, and then, on the next page of this, based on what you said at the last meeting, is that the members of the audit committee will be appointed by the county commission upon recommendation of the steering committee. That's in. And then I did fix this last sentence that, as we talked about before, is that some of those initial terms some will serve 3 years, some will serve 1, but ultimately the commissioners and the citizens will serve 4-year terms, road board and highway will serve 2-year terms, so that whenever they're appointed, they will be there. You can be assured that they will be there for those 2 years.
We've talked about this for several months.
Right. This is just,
And I think some of Commissioner Sandlin had some questions. All of those are addressed. Move to approve, pass on to the full commission.
Second motion.
A motion and a second.
Who was your motion?
Was
Phillips.
Phillips. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Merrill. All right, Mr. Mayor, we have the Regional Transportation Authority reconstitution.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
He spent a lot of time explaining this to me, and so I am not going to explain it.
So do we incorporate number 8 then with,
Yes.
okay. all right.
Yes.
Okay, do any of you know what the RTA is? I mean, we fund 10% per capita every year to this RTA, Regional Transportation Authority. For years and years you have done this. And that's made up of a group of counties that have cities and counties, and governor has appointees, et cetera. It's a board. And we have van pools and car pools and ride sharing, and we have these, what we call the primary thing that we really have is from Murfreesboro, from MTSU, Murfreesboro, Smyrna to Laverne into Nashville. We have this relax and ride, this Route 96 that they call it, that makes a substantial number of trips back and forth to Nashville. There's 9 trips from Nashville, let's see, 9, and then going one way, and then there's 7 coming back the other way. So there are 40 to 50 people on each of those 14 to 15 trips going to and from, starting at Murfreesboro to Nashville routinely every day. So hundreds of people are riding this thing. That's one of the primary benefits that we have. This entity also has the same kinds of things happening in other counties, from Sumner County in that area over there, and from Williamson County, and the Music City Star, you've heard about that comes in from Lebanon. That's part of all this process. In any event, in the RTA and in the MPO, which is the Metropolitan Planning Organization, through which all the roads that have to be approved in a 7-county area have to come through that entity, where all the state and federal money flows. All of this is sort of working together in that there's a very strategic but very important process taking place to really put our region in a position economically and quality of life wise to progress and thrive for the in the future as things continue to happen. As you well know, transportation to and from work and to and from other places to go is extremely critical for all of us nowadays, especially with the cost of fuel, et cetera, continuing to go up. And the ridership on these routes continues to really skyrocket, you might say. When fuel prices go up, you can just track the people that won't own these devices. We're full on this Route 96 here, and they've added another bus out of Smyrna and Laverne even recently. So, saying all that to say, the ability to have people having good access to their jobs and to other places they want to go is critical, we believe, I believe, to the long-term viability of this Middle Tennessee region for economic purposes. All right, all that to say, so why are we talking about a reconstitution? This RTA was constituted in 1988 for just the types of purposes I've told you about, and the only sources of revenue we have, except from federal and state monies, is this per capita 10 cents that we charge, which is a few $1,000s per year for each of our counties. What this does, there was some new legislation passed in 2009. It doesn't commit the county or a city to do anything more than they're currently doing. Nothing's going to go up. Nothing can be approved without the commission's approval at a county. You can opt in or out of what might happen, but it puts in place some tools that would allow us at some point in the future to do some things differently. Let's suppose that between Rutherford County and Davidson County, we wanted to put an express bus system in place and to really add a lot more capacity to this process of trying to transfer and move people back and forth. And let's suppose that the only way to fund that is to get some additional revenue. Now, you would have to have at least 2 or more counties that agree that there's a need for this, and they'd have to formulate some structure, some process to identify the mechanism for which you might generate some more revenue. The fares that you charge for the transportation is only about 25% or less of the total cost it takes to operate these entities, even something as simple as this Relax and Ride Route 96. So if one were to choose at some point in the future that they think we should add some sort of special revenue source, whether it's something that adds to the gasoline or whether it's something you add in another way, some sort of fee structure to help support this. And the county, both Rutherford and Davidson, thought this was so critical to the viability of this region for the ability to continue to thrive, then there could be a proposal made under the new legislation. It's not required, but the tool is just there in the toolbox that would allow both entities to either through a county commission approval or through a referendum to put some additional, quote, tax on the citizens to make this happen. That structure is there. It also would allow this entity, without encumbering the credit or the liability of the county, to issue debt, if so elected at some point in the future. Those tools are there. It allows more counties to be added to the mess that's already there in the RTA. All right. So the current RTA board, which is comprised of many mayors and cities and counties in these now select counties, have approved this. The legislation was approved at the state level to allow these additional tools in 2009. Now, for those counties that want to stay in the RTA, we have to adopt and approve this reconstituted RTA. It doesn't require you to do anything more than we're currently doing, nothing more. You still have the same authority to either opt in or out. You can get out of this anytime you want to. You don't have to do anything without county commission approval. Nothing is required. It just gives you that ability to do it when or if it ever is taken, then initiative is taken to that. This has happened in other major cities like Denver and Charlotte and Austin. They are years and years ahead of us on having in place systems that are just extraordinary as far as moving people.
Well, this RTA is really setting us up for a mass transit.
Yeah.
You know, whether it be
Yeah.
whatever mode of transportation, but it from say Rutherford County to Davidson County or whatever,
I mean, it could be.
Down the road.
It could take several forms.
right.
Initially, likely it would be some improved bus rapid transit, and it could be light rail, who knows what, that's way down the road. But in any event.
So what we
those-
have set up right now is only paying though about 25% of the cost.
The
Is that what you're
The fares
saying?
on these systems are only paying about, the rest of that is subsidized by federal money, largely pushed
Mhm.
down through the state and then handed over to us through the RTA. So,
And we don't see that being cut. That's a continuing program that,
well, it's not gonna increase much right now. I mean, the
Right.
federal monies are just really flat, and they're shrinking some of them back, to be honest with you. But the other thing is this, you can't keep putting, you know, we've got all this emissions testing in our county and several other of
Right.
these counties. That's not going away. And the more cars and trucks that are out there, the worse that gets. And if we don't contain or control this growth in emissions, the federal money that comes to us will shrink back. They won't let us keep having this money to build more roads, to put more cars on it. You've got to find a way to control the number of vehicles that are emitting these, whatever they are you want to call them, things that we don't want, or else it shrinks back your pool of money to enhance whatever transportation or whatever roads you're trying to work with. So it's a double-edged sword.
well, we're objecting that. I mean, we're achieving that goal, correct?
Well, we just
Or
achieved
per-
that goal
Yeah.
just a year or so ago, but they are going to change the standards again. And they're going to tighten the standards even further, so therefore we'll be out of standard again. As soon as they adopt the next standard, the federal EPA. So all of that never goes away.
Right.
So we gotta try to do what we can to limit these emissions, at the same time provide enhanced abilities for people to move from place to place.
I'm sorry, by adopting this then, I mean, we're continuing doing what we're doing now.
That's all you're really
It's not
actually doing.
changing our format or changing the liability more onto the county aspect of it. We're still getting federal dollars to continue the program. We're just a conduit in continuing the program.
None of that is changing.
Okay.
It just gives you the ability, some of you members of the commission in years future will have some tools available if you decide to put in a certain type of mass transit that requires some other funding sources that are not available. Heretofore, you didn't have any tools in your
I
toolbox,
see.
period.
I see.
And also, it takes care of us, it helps us out on our missions for the area, and also it helps our citizens that we represent on the job market, being able to travel to Nashville, or people going to, if they don't go to MTSU, they go to some university down in Davidson County that they can have transportation down there. It broadens their market.
It's a very much of a large benefit for our residents that are commuting to other locations to work.
On these two new tools, you said taxes and issuing debt. Who would be the taxing and the authority and the debt?
Well, both of those would have to be authorized by the county commissions, and at least two of the counties. At least two counties have to agree that they're gonna have this transportation linkage of some sort put in place.
Mhm.
Both of those counties have to participate in it. It could be broader than that. And both county commissions of those counties would have to approve that before anything could be put in place.
And how many counties is in the RTA?
Right now, there's 7 or 8, and this would put it up to, I think, 10.
Okay, so if there's a link between Davidson and Wilson County, they could issue their own taxes.
Have nothing to do with Rutherford.
So Rutherford County wouldn't be involved in
Wouldn't
that.
have to be involved.
So if they incurred debt,
Even if Rutherford County incurred debt, if the RTA incurred debt, Rutherford County still wouldn't be liable. The RTA has the ability to issue the debt. The county wouldn't have to issue the debt, and the
That's
county
what-
would not be liable.
I was going back to what I was saying a while ago. Yeah, our liability doesn't go up any.
No.
well, so if Rutherford County and Davidson County wants to do an agreement, and the proposal is taxes and debt, the Rutherford County Commission would have to approve the taxes and debt.
Yes.
And
They'd
if we
have-
didn't and Davidson did, then it wouldn't be a
Or
problem.
It wouldn't go.
Mayor, if we,
Or you could require a referendum. The commission could just say, we're gonna require a referendum. That option is in here. The commission wouldn't even have to be the only approving body.
If we were to not take action and pass this, then we would cease to be a member
Would be
of
out
the
of the,
RTA.
out of the RTA.
What would be the impact to the county then?
Well, you'd have
Buses would stop.
several hundred people here not having this service, potentially. And you wouldn't have the potential, we can get back in at some point. If you decide that was the wrong decision, you could always elect to come back in. That option would still be there.
Would we not have the potential of losing federal dollars?
Well, you'd have the potential for losing the route.
For the program, yeah.
Subsidized by federal dollars. It's hundreds of people are riding every day right now.
And then we can always, at any point, get out.
You can get out at any point you see something you don't like, you get out. It really does nothing to what you've already agreed to since 1988, except put these other options there, but yet whenever one of those is executed, you have to approve it. You have to be a participant in that.
I haven't really heard anything else come through any committee. Where do they report, where do we get information from, or is it just you get the information and then you can pass it on to the commissioners?
Yeah, well, we don't, this is part of one of these 4, on one Wednesday a month, all the mayors spend half a day in Nashville, and this is one of the 4 committees we serve on. Metropolitan Planning Organization was the road approving authority, and this authority and the Greater Nashville Regional Council and the Mid-Cumberland Human Resources. So it's just part of the process that y'all have been in for many, many years.
Mr. Chairman, I don't see, I'm sorry, I don't see any downside to approving this reconstruction of the RTA, so I make a motion that we do that and send it to the full commission.
A motion, we have a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I didn't mean to cut you off there, Mayor.
But that's fine then.
Not the first time.
It won't be the last. Next item is property tax exemption for the performing arts organizations. Commissioners, if you remember, several years ago, we passed a resolution where, went into an agreement where the performing arts was kind of out of our, I guess we passed it over to, and they formed their own 501c3, and where they took over ownership of the building. And this was a technicality that was not brought to our attention until just recently, and so we're here to act on that. Mayor, you want to explain this any more detail?
As it turns out, I mean, I didn't have any clue about this. For a performing arts organization to be exempt from property taxes, it's incumbent upon the county in which this organization exists to, this is all state code now, okay? And Mr. Cope is here, and he knows about this too. We have to adopt a resolution that approves a property tax exemption for a nonprofit and community and performing arts organization. They have to submit an application to the State Board of Equalization, I think, that a whole set of information, it's like 11 things they have to turn into them that, about their governing body, et cetera. And then, in turn, after they do that, this is what has already happened. The Center of Arts here has already submitted their information to the State Board. The State Board has said, yes, you qualify. These 11 things you sent in, we say that's all you need. And the next step, you have to get the county to adopt this resolution before you can be exempt from property taxes. We didn't know we had to do that. We just thought they could be exempt like any other 501c3 but from property taxes, but they can't be, except in this particular case, we have to have this resolution in place that will allow this to happen.
I know they've been there for
a couple of years or more. Whenever we just did this recently, you remember, I don't know who actually owned the building. Mr. Cope will remember, whether the city or the county, but we shared in the ownership / maintenance of that building. Then we gave that entity and that property completely over to them. We got out of the ownership of that.
I thought the county owned that building for the last 10, 15 years.
Well, it's been the old Linebaugh Library building, of course, and it was jointly owned by the county and the city. We've always had it, but now you've got the Performing Arts Center in there.
But I know, but that arts Performing Arts has been there for.
Well, the Performing Arts was there, but they didn't have ownership of the building. They only had use of the building by, you might say,
So now
lease.
now they own the building.
Now they actually own the building. They didn't
Okay.
own it. The county and the city
That's
gave
what
it
triggered
over
it.
to them.
Okay.
It triggered this. And now they've been assessed property taxes, and, which are now delinquent, and they have to pay them. Even we don't know how they're going to escape paying what's currently in place, but this would put them in a position in the future to be exempt from their property taxes.
Which we thought that they were anyway.
We did anyway. We didn't know we didn't know there was such a law out there that required this. So we need to adopt a resolution, and I don't know if Ms. Becky's got a copy of the,
Did y'all get that?
here's what y'all have prepared, and he can give that to you. And it's a standard form resolution from the state board as well that we'll have to adopt.
Is it a resolution that could be, say, years down the road, revoked by another commission for some reason, whatever reason?
But let me, hold on just a minute, let me have that back just 1 second. I believe it says, organizations approved for this exemption by the state board shall report annually to the assessor of property listing the organization's properties. I don't know, do you remember, Mr. Cope, whether we can, from time to time, revoke our,
Yes,
Yeah, we can
I think
revoke-
you can rescind your
Yeah,
resolution.
we can rescind this
If at any point
anytime.
you want this property to become taxable again, you just rescind the authority for them to be tax exempt. So
Yeah.
I think you can rescind it in the future if at some point you thought, and this, and also as the mayor mentioned, these are for performing arts organizations. You may have others that come forward. Smyrna may have someone, Laverne. Other organizations may feel like they qualify. In order to do that, they've got to go before the State Board of Equalization and meet the 11 requirements to see if they qualify.
Okay.
If they qualify, then the State Board of Equalization is the one that grants the exemption. The county doesn't grant the exemption other than to enact the enabling legislation that allows the State Board of Equalization to receive these applications. So once we adopt the resolution, these performing arts organizations, if they qualify, can make application to the Board of Equalization and then be exempted from the taxes.
They still report to the property assessor each year, though. And
In
for
addition,
some
they have
reason,
to report to the State Board of Equalization on an annual basis what properties they're claiming in those.
and if some reason, and I would only think of one, that why would we rescind something like that is if they failed as their group and subleased it or started doing something else in that building, then that, we would want to rescind that.
well, if they did that, they wouldn't be approved by the state board
Right,
of equalization, because
right.
that'd be one of those 11 requirements.
So it'd be a dual thing.
And it does say that we can, this resolution remains in effect until the legislative body shall revoke or amend it. So it's, you can change it any time.
Have we got any other 501(c) that's similar to this?
We're not aware of one, but they could be out there.
That we're,
I'm not aware of any, but I don't want to suggest there might not be. Cannon County, it was, obviously it's Woodbury, but they have that Performing Arts Center up in Woodbury. But I don't know about the other municipalities or out in the county for that.
But is this only for performing arts, or is there anything?
Yeah, it's
only-
Performing arts.
very
organization.
specific, very specific.
Okay.
Not
It's
for any other
cultural
501(c).
Cultural arts and performing arts to encourage, basically it's done to encourage cultural
Yeah.
arts, dancing, singing, drama. That's deemed to be a benefit to the community, and to that extent, they would be
Okay.
permitted to have their property taxes exempted.
I don't think we're setting a precedence here. I mean, if the state is setting and you have to go through those requirements, then I think we'd be fine. If others come to us, I mean, and follow in the same.
But they won't have to come to you. Once you do this, it's out there for any qualifying organization to be tax exempt if they submit the proper information to the state and they get approved.
Yeah.
Is there, I don't know if there is or not, but the Murfreesboro Little Theater, is it still in existence?
Yeah, I think so.
So I mean, that's one there that
Could be.
could be,
If they're a 501(c)(3), that's the
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
And if they own property.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Move to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Motion to approve, we have a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, we have the three-star program. This is something we do every year that's submitted by the Chamber. Tennessee's three-star program is the governor's three-star program that assists urban and rural communities in their effort to achieve excellence in community and economic development. So we have a resolution resolution to approve their strategic economic development plan.
We have to renew this every year.
Every year, and this is a routine renewal. It takes two resolutions, one to adopt the strategic economic development plan, and a second resolution to affirm compliance with federal Title VI regulations. So we need to do them both together. The second one is just sort of routine, but we have to do them both. You have them
We do them one at a time or both together.
both together would be fine, I think.
Just for anyone and everyone out there, the three-star program, what does it accomplish, Mr. Mayor?
Well, from time to time, it puts us in a position if the state's going to maybe issue a grant for something, some sort of economic benefit that we might receive, like I think at one point, the lighting, the energy credits or whatever we got for some special funding or low interest rate loans on this lighting. If you're for the schools, if you're a member of this and you had three-star, you could participate in that. I mean, so it just gives you an opportunity on occasion, not every year even, to participate in some incentives that might be coming through the grant process, more or less, or favorable loan process or something.
Need a motion.
Motion. We have a second.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
That's for both of these.
Yes, it's for both. All right, next we have the Legal Services Agreement First Amendment. Mr. Cope, would you like to join us, please?
You be doing the First Amendment?
That's right.
Okay, let's give you just a copy of this, if you don't mind. There's two, excuse me here. There's two sheets. There's your actual resolution, and there's the First Amendment. So 2 pages. First is legal size, and the second is just a regular 8.5, 11. This is a, where does she sort of gets that passed out? There you go, there's 2. Some of it, let's see, I don't know, well, Mr. Sandman's on budget, but he's already heard this. What is happening here is this. We all know that Mrs. Shelton has retired from full-time employment. And Mr. Cope and I have discussed at his suggestion, and which is an excellent suggestion, that as opposed to this person that he's hiring for his legal support staff assistance right now, that person is a county employee. And he's suggesting, and I think a great suggestion, that this person, his firm receive a stipend, you might say, an annual sum, which is roughly equivalent to the base salary of what he's going to pay this person of $37,450 in 12 monthly equal installments. That would be adjusted annually with any other standard kinds of increases we give to similarly situated employees of the county. So that one little paragraph there, we're changing that to hand over to him $37,450 for next fiscal year. And right now, that will not include any benefits. No benefits will be paid to this employee. That'll be their responsibility in total. So the savings here is fairly substantial over the course of time in dollars. And that being said, we're asking you, well, you can see in this resolution itself where it says the employee benefits such as Social Security, retirement, health insurance, and the like will not be our responsibility any longer. But we need to change this so that we remove the notation where this is a county employee. That's what we're doing. And supplanting that with this paragraph under section, under 2 section 5, general matters, subsection E of the legal services agreement.
So we're reducing our head count, our county employee head count.
Yes.
We'll be taking one person off.
And handing over to them
And
payment in lieu of that.
And just paying the salary to Mr. Cope's office.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Cope, after I talked to you the last day before the meeting, they put that on the budget agenda, so the budget people have already seen this.
Okay.
And they approved it, so we got a little ahead of ourselves, I guess, on the budget before we got to steering. But they were finalizing their numbers for to be printed, so that's where we are.
I voted for it in budget, and the only thing I needed to ask, and you weren't at budget, is the time frame then of the county attorney officially, however you want to say it. What is that process again? I mean, I was thinking 2 years. We've already been a year, right?
You're
and
correct.
so one more year, we're going to be establishing
Well,
an in-house county attorney.
I don't know that that's been addressed by this committee officially, but the term for my contract as the county attorney runs for 1 more year. So that it'll be up to you all, that is the county commission and the mayor, to decide going forward how you best address the needs of the legal services in the county. But your obligation here is only for another year. Obviously, this contract's only good for another year. So what takes place between now and then will be up to you all as a commission going forward as to how you best address your needs for legal services.
All of the services, all the time that's being spent or has been spent with the county will continue.
That's correct.
Timeframes, all the services, it's just that we no longer we'll be removing the person from our.
Yeah, and let's make one point of clarification there. Mrs. Shelton, even though she is retired from full-time, we want to engage her, the county, to perform just what she's doing. We want her to still be the, quote, secretary of these committee meetings, and we're going to pay her a monthly agreed-upon stipend.
We're going to pay him, and he's going to pay her.
No, sir, we're going to pay her, independent of him, $500 a month.
Which sum of money will actually still be less,
with this,
even with paying her, because her salary was such that with her payment that the county will be making directly to her, and the payment that you'll be making is still going to be some, in a total budget, I guess about 20,000 less than total.
Yes, the net savings is just a little under 20,000, even with continuing her as this person here to take the minutes, et cetera. So we're still almost 20,000 better off as far as.
I might be missing something. You guys are probably going to have to spoon feed me. This position that we're talking about right now is what Becky's been doing in the past, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's for,
so what is this person going to be doing in the future then?
This is a payment in lieu of her salary. She's going to be, you all have agreed previously to provide 1 full-time employee to do the county legal work.
Right.
This money will still provide for that person to provide legal work. But in our offices, as you know, we've got 7 attorneys and we've got 7 different staff people that are all rendering legal services for doing it. So rather than that money being directed to one individual, as it was to Ms. Shelton as an employee, it will be funds that go into the firm to be distributed as we determine, but you will be providing support staff so that we will be doing and preparing all of the same documents, all of the legal work, all of the same typing, all of the same phone call answering, all of the same responding to inquiries and questions that you've always done. It'll simply be at a substantially reduced cost because we'll no longer have an employee benefit program to go with it. So it will not change anything in terms of the way things have been done. It's just a different way of addressing the money so the county reduces the head count and saves employee cost.
This employee that you will have in your office will be doing the day operations that Becky was doing.
She's going to work directly for me. This
Right.
employee
Just
will
like
work
Becky
directly
did.
for me, just like Becky did. And
And what Becky's doing now is what she was doing at night.
Correct.
And at the committee meetings, it's two separate.
Right.
Right. But the total dollars, because Ms. Shelton's dollars were such, when at her retirement, her salary had gotten to a point that it was ahead of what the combined amounts of money will be. So in actuality, we're taking a reduction in terms of total dollars that's going to be coming to us. And we just said, okay, we're willing to do that. And if it'll save the county money, probably makes the thing cleaner in terms of operationally how it's done. Seemed to be a win-win situation for everyone.
Well, in this situation, if we do a resolution, Becky, Ms. Shelton types up a resolution. Now, does your officer review that before it comes to commission?
That's right, correct. What she does now, she prepares those minutes. I get them probably at the same time you do. If she has a question about wording on something, she'll ask me, she'll say, hey, what do you think? How's this done? How's that done? That is fairly rare. Her experience is such, she's gotten to the point, she pretty well knows 99.9% of the time how it's to be worded. She doesn't need me telling her how to do that. She's better than I am in terms of how those things are worded. I do, though, for all matters that come to the full county commission, I do review those, sometimes prepare them, sometimes certainly review and approve them. So what will happen now is that she will send me anything that goes directly from a committee to the full county commission will come to me in draft form for review and approval. And if I review and approve it, change it, I notify her, and then those resolutions are prepared. But they don't go through anybody without first coming through me before they go to the full county commission.
My first initial thought when it came through budget there is that, well, we could be saving, since we're keeping her on, this 37 whatever thousand, and you're gonna have to pick up that as, if you want that person to, you know, or you need that person to continue on with all the other many duties that are performed, or maybe picking up her slack, so to speak, I guess, that we would do that. But the way I saw it is that, well, we're still into a one-year agreement here. And our process was to have a legal, county, legal staff, whatever, home attorney, county attorney, you know, in-house ourselves, which we've always had, but I'm talking totally independent, nothing else going on legally wise and attorney wise. And that would happen in 2012, sometime in 2012. So you're saying that that's still the thought process there?
We haven't changed the agreement that you already have in place, which gives you the flexibility to make that choice at the end of the 2-year period if you so choose.
Well, that's what our whole thing was about before, is whether it be you or whether it be somebody else. I'm not saying it's not going to be you. I'm just saying that's what our structure was. That's what our direction has been in, correct?
And this doesn't change whatever direction you think we have going forward. This does not have anything to do with that discussion.
Kind of does.
Ms. Shelton will still be on our payroll then?
She won't be on the payroll. She'll be just like you get an amount per meeting. She'll get an amount per meeting. Well, an amount per month is the way we're going to do it. She will not be an employee.
You comfortable with her being an independent contractor and not an employee? There's been a lot of labor law recently about contract employees that are really not contract employees, but they're employees.
Well, I think, first of all, I know the mayor's already checked from his standpoint on that, but she's contracting in that she's performing specific services. She's not working a regular schedule, far from it. It's an irregular schedule. She's certainly not working a 40-hour week in doing that. She's assigned a task to basically produce a product, which is the minutes of the committees. And it's kind of like hiring a painter, and I don't mean to put that analogy, but if you pay somebody to paint a building, you say, I can either paint you on an hourly basis, pay you, or I can pay you per project. Here, the county's electing to pay her per project, which is to produce these minutes, and for that there'd be a particular fixed amount of payment that would be. The county that doesn't control her, and that's when you... I'm sorry?
You supervise her?
I don't supervise her. She's no longer my employee. She is an independent contractor preparing your minutes. That's what she will do.
So who supervises her?
Well, to that extent, she's going to be paid by the county. I won't be supervising.
If he supervises her or we supervise her, she's a county employee.
I disagree with you, Commissioner. In all due respect, you don't. If you hire a painter to paint a house and you say, I'm gonna paint that, this is your job to do this, you're not, unless you control their hours of operation, their duties, how they do it, when they do it, within parameters, those are frequently contract services. You don't hire, when you do an accountant, unless you've got an in-house accountant, you may have an accountant who works for you professionally, who is not an employee of yours. You may have an attorney who does that. You may have a consultant in any kind of number of services that do that for you. And again, I'm just telling you that unless you have somebody who's working those hours, I don't think you have to make them an employee.
I'm going to disagree with you, and
Sure.
you're probably much more up on this law than I am, but if I had a house painter working for me for 2 or 3 years, he'd be my employee. But if I had him working for me and painting my house and it'd be done in a week, it's different. It's a contract. But if I have a house painter that's painting my house for years, months, he's my employee. And that's the way it's been explained to me from a legal perspective.
Well,
by my legal department.
Okay.
And that's my question here. How could she not be an employee?
Well, again, this is an arrangement between the county and her. I can't paddle the boat for Ms. Shelton now. This is an arrangement. That's not my bailiwick. She's retired from my employment. I have no further control over her or advice to her.
Let's say this. Right now, we've agreed on what we would pay her, per month. Now, and we put that much in the budget. If we have to add benefits to that for your assessment of that, we'll have to do that. We'll have to make adjustments. We will review this with Ms. Stevenson and Ms. Shelton and Ms. Nolan and whoever else we need to really make sure. So the $500, if we have to add Social Security and Medicare on that, so be it. But it would be a part-time position at best.
I'm just trying to share experiences in the private sector, okay? Some things that I know have happened in the past because they've happened to me. To me, okay? And the analogy of a painter is perfect, okay? They're there, they do their job, and they leave. But if that painter is there every day, every month, they're no longer a contract employee because you supervise them. You supervise them. They report to you. She gives these reports to you, and you approve them. So they're your employee. That's the way it's been explained to me. Government may be different. I don't see how it could be, but government may be different. And I just think we need to make sure about that.
Okay. Is there a correlation between this situation and maybe the situations the insurance department uses various groups to manage or organize and work with us on a regular reoccurring basis, and they're not county employees? I know there may be consultants, or we have contracts with them where they perform services for us on a recurring basis.
It's a company. We employ that company, and the company provides those services. There's no company here. There's not. And I'm not trying to throw a monkey wrench in this. I'm just saying that there could be an issue, and from my experience, I see a red flag. I want Becky to do this, okay? I've worked with her for more than a couple of years, and I want her to continue to do that. But I just see a potential issue, and I recommend that we look into it a little bit further before we, to make sure that that contract situation is from a fair labor standard is appropriate.
Okay, I agree to do that, and we'll certainly do that. I really don't, if she turns out to have to be an employee, I don't want her to be his employee. I want her to be an employee of the county, reporting to the mayor with the oversight of the commission. And yes, and just because we have a duty to allow the county attorney to review any of our legal documents, he would just be, again, reviewing all the legal documents that we prepare, and this would just be one piece of them. So I think he could still do that. He's not supervising her, he's simply reviewing it for legal correctness, and we would supervise her. I hope we can make it structured that way that she has to be an employee.
If you've already got a legal opinion and they think it's legal, I'm okay with it.
It never hurts to revisit. and we will do that carefully. I think this is the best of all worlds, and if it takes some mechanical changing, we will do that.
Thank you.
The last sentence in this paragraph, which annual payment shall be adjusted annually, therefore, in accordance with the increases granted. If we're paying out a flat sum every year, why would that last sentence need to be in there?
Because should this agreement go forward, if you decided that, that this was going beyond July 1 of next year, you had a continuing relationship in terms of us providing professional services, all this is designed to do is to try to equip that the monies that would be paid for our support staff to assist you all would be adjusted in a similar fashion, not in terms of a dollar amount, but allow the mayor and you all to decide what that might be. If you gave a 2% raise, then this would probably need to be adjusted about 2%. Again, just to keep up so that it wouldn't be fixed and locked in without the potential for change.
Without the other benefits and stuff going with it, as I would just think it would be.
There are no benefits.
Yeah.
It's just like a contract that you'd say, this year you're getting paid, you know, $10.20 an hour for consulting, and next year you're gonna get paid $10.25 an hour for consulting. That's all it is to try to keep that in mind. So it doesn't become antiquated and you all have to look at it every year as an amendment to this agreement.
Is it kind of like somebody who sells Avon but doesn't work for Avon, they're an independent contractor, I guess?
Well, as you said, the mayor's already said he's gonna sit down and look at it. I understand completely what Commissioner Phillips said, and there's, but you've got consultants of all kinds who deal in technology, who deal in everything, that they sign a contract with a person that you're gonna come in here once a month, and you're gonna look at our computers, and you're gonna determine what's wrong with them. You may spend 3 hours doing that, you may spend 13 hours. We don't care. You're not our employee. We pay you X dollars to make sure our computers are fine-turned. And you have contracts like that in all industries. Now, I don't disagree with Commissioner Phillips. There's a point of, I think the issue that they look at is the control to which the entity maintains over the particular consultant. If you direct, historically, legally, if you direct that you've got to be here a fixed number of hours, that you've got these fixed duties, that you report to this person or that person, the control then would determine if that person is an employee as opposed to a consultant. And I think that's what certainly the mayor and you all will look at. But I would say that there is a certainly probability that the relationship that you've already established would hold up. But again, that can be viewed another day.
Question, do we need to hold off on approving this, or do we need to, or go ahead and approve this, and then if it does come about where there need to be some tweaks in it, tweak it then?
We're not talking about-
Let me make a motion. Let me move to approve with the understanding that the mayor will report back to the steering committee what he finds on contract
That has nothing
employment.
to do with this.
Okay. Because we need to make this effective
Yeah.
July the 1st with respect to what we're doing with his new employee.
I second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I want to say just one thing in regards to this, as well as the legal services agreement that we worked for a long time on last year, because I know there may be some questions going through some of our minds, and probably at the commission meeting as well, that are we moving away from what we were moving towards? And I don't think so. I don't believe so. And I'll just give my personal opinion, and I don't know if it's the opinion of everybody or not. I think we want to move towards a full in-house county attorney. I mean, that's what we worked towards doing anyway. But the main way I would be for it is if it's more efficient and it's more cost-effective. And this obviously is more cost-effective for the county at this point in time to do what this resolution adopts. At whatever point in time we can prove that it will be cost-saving to the county is when I would be in favor to move it to more in-house. I just thought I'd throw that out there because I know there will be some questions about which way are we headed since we spent all that time getting that together. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And next, we have the redistricting committee. We have a resolution to adopt a reapportionment redistricting plan for Rutherford County. You've got hopefully you've got an attachment there that was emailed out. think the mayor also has a map for us to look at as he explains the need and importance of what this is calling for.
Thought maybe Ransom was coming to begin.
You got an election commission there?
Yeah, we do have one, yeah. Okay. What I've given you here is a revised, this was prepared by our OIT, but this reflects the changes. Let's see. Let me give y'all a couple copies of this back there. Do we have any more extras? There's one more right there. Okay. In previous years, 10 years ago, this was difficult, but not nearly as difficult as this is going to be. This is going to create a ripple effect that's going to touch every commission district. And let me just sort of summarize what this little picture here shows you. The total population of Rutherford County is 262,640, I think, something like that. And the average population, if you divide that by 21, if you the top of the page, is 12,205. When all of this redistricting is over, and the redistricting has to be approved by the Board of Commissioners. You are the ultimate approving body. When all this is over, each of these districts is supposed to have, population-wise within it, plus or minus 5% of 12,205. That's how much deviation it should be from the ideal, which is the average. Now let's just look at where you stand with current 2010 population data. District 1 is 33% more than 12,205. It has 16,650 people in it. District 4 is 34% under 12,205. 8,298 people there, 4,000 people short. All of this has got to change, and when you touch one district, it's going to touch every single one of them. When you start, for example, if you were to start in the upper northern corner there of District 1, shrink that back somehow to 5%, it affects everything around it, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 other districts around it. It's a complex problem, but one that must be solved. We've got all the tools, all the data by census block in our system. We have the software to play all kinds of scenarios you want to play. But it's going to impact so many districts and so many commissioners that what has happened here, the Comptroller's Office has made a suggestion, this is not a requirement, that the Board of Commissioners establish a redistricting committee. I think it's really a very wise idea in that you need liaison between the commission and this process as it goes on, because ultimately you guys are going to have to approve it, the whole commission is. And you know full well, and Mr. Cope can address this better than I can, we can't have the same kinds of meetings you probably had 10 years ago. 2 or 3 of you show up over here with a group and y'all sit around the table and look at pictures and point to this and say, well, I think we ought to change this, and we can't do that anymore without having a public noticed meeting. So I think if you're going to need public noticed meetings, you ought to have a committee that's tasked with the primary responsibility of making this process happen. And when they have a meeting, their meetings are public meetings, and they can deliberate, and they'll iterate, and it'll take many meetings to get this done. And this little resolution to establish a redistricting committee is just a model that the state has put forward and suggested that if you choose to do this, you, the county legislative body, will put this little group in place. It doesn't say how many people you have to put on the committee, who they are, or otherwise. They suggest that it have at least county commissioners and at least an election administrator on the committee. Now, I've said all that to say, and just as and I gave you this piece that we prepared to show you the spread. We are plus 35% to minus 34% across these 21 districts. We've got to get that to plus or minus 5%. And it's going to be hard. And it's going to take much, much iterating and discussion and deliberation. And it's time to get going. So
What is the deadline? What is
January the 1st, we got to be finished with this. And it's
January
probably going to take that long with the kind of changes that have to be made.
Let me ask a question. When lines are redrawn, is it a law or requirement that a commissioner represents all of a city or all of a county? I mean, in other words, they can't represent some of Murfreesboro and some of unincorporated.
I think that's one of the things in this
Really and truly,
year's redistricting we're gonna have to do is.
I don't know, I've sort of read this book. Here's the book. I don't think it says a thing about a commissioner having to be self-contained within a city. That's my take on it.
It doesn't. Okay.
I mean, I really have to read this again, but I don't believe I saw that anywhere.
And
It's all that counts is you got this, the population right in that district.
Yeah.
now, is it a rule that, or not a rule that commissioners could be grouped in the same district?
You can have more than one commissioner per district.
No, I'm saying when the lines are redrawn, that, okay, this commissioner's house and this commissioner's house is now in the same district.
If that happens, you're gonna have to change the line.
Right.
You can't have two in one.
So,
Somewhere.
But it takes effect on January, not after the next election.
Oh, we have to have this approved. It wouldn't take effect until the next election.
But January 1 is when it has to be approved.
You have to,
Approved.
2012.
It could be that
you would.
You will set up a scenario potentially where you will have in the next election, some of you all who will be in the same district, one with another, depending on how these lines might get drawn.
So that could be a possibility.
That could be a
But
possibility.
that won't affect you
But it
until
won't
the
affect your current term.
2014 elections when that would take place.
it's gonna take 11 commissioners to vote for that scenario for that to happen.
The other commissioners have to approve the redistricting
Well, I
plan.
thought that was a 2/3 vote, but anyway. it just-
Well, we don't know.
I was thinking it was. I was thinking
You
it was-
could be right.
I was thinking it was 2/3 on that.
We don't know.
What has happened in the past, and I may be incorrect, but my memory says that the election commission has always made the proposal and asked for input from the county commission, and then the county commission gives input and then votes up or down, and I never remember anything being voted down. With the population explosion, you're saying that may be more difficult for the commission to actually take that recommendation without
Well, I think
more input.
My impression is, Commissioner, and I think you're right, but I think that was done more out of convenience for the county commission, because the only entity that really had any data with which to draw lines was the election commission. Prior to computers and software and everything, they were kind of the ones that knew where voters were, and it was a very manual process, so you turned to the one body that you thought might be able to have data to make this work, and I think that was the election commission. But now, as the mayor's pointed out, with the technology being what it is, you don't have to look to the election commission to do that. You could do it internally with this redistricting committee. You've got a lot of different, you don't have to have any committee, but you probably have the capacity with the data now to do it through yourselves with expertise you've got, than doing it
Well,
through
the election commission, I think, the last time worked with the county GIS department.
Well, that's what they'll do this time, yes.
Last time.
GIS is ready to go.
Well, I think one thing is gonna have to happen here. I mean, with the, last time it was redistrict, what was 10 years ago, correct? So, true rural commissioners may not be true rural commissioners anymore. We're gonna have to incorporate some of the city parts. The way the growth has happened, it looks like, even just from this chart right here, that, that's one of the things that's gonna be a major change from past history of keeping rural commissioners strictly rural, that they didn't actually have parts of city in their district. And I see that that's probably gonna have to happen.
It's also changed a little bit with cities incorporating. There's probably
Right,
some
right,
that are out there
right,
now.
with the
that-
urban growth boundary and stuff, and where they've incorporated and annexed.
I know that's like
So-
Commissioner Gooch and myself has got city and county, or, well, they're all county, but city and rural people in our districts. I think you may have too.
District 5 and 9 looks pretty much almost perfect, and just keep them the same, it looks like.
You can't-
0 and .1.
You can't keep them that way, you're gonna mess them up.
I know,
As soon
I
as you do.
What does this, if we adopt this committee, how would that affect the role of the election commission? Because I think 10 years ago, they drew the line and sent it to us. Would this committee send it to them for approval or take them,
That's yet for discussion, and we have one election commissioner there. I would suggest this, that you put, I sort of came up with what I thought might be reasonable. You put county commissioners on there, maybe, let me just give you a number, 5 county commissioners, 2 election commissioners, the election administrator, and maybe one more person if the election commission and this group that you select otherwise, that might have some prior experience or expertise that they wanted to put on there to give them a foundation of some previous knowledge. They might want to do that. So that would give you 9 people, and you'd have representatives from all of the entities on there. And they would meet, discuss, and iterate over a period of months, and finally come to some reasonable recommendation that they're ready to bring forward to the full commission.
well, who is charged with drawing lines and who makes that decision?
The Board of Commissioners is charged. You have the ultimate authority. It's up to you to decide how you want that process to take place, because ultimately, you're going to have to approve it.
Okay.
But with the process, the election commission draws the lines and gives it to us for
No.
final
Not
approval.
necessarily, it is your process. It is your process. Now, you may choose to involve them, to delegate to them, to come back with a recommendation.
your
but
districts.
It's your map. It is your reapportionment. The duty and the responsibility falls to
You
you.
just want to use their resources and their tools and their staff to help the process along.
Commissioner Jernigan?
I just like to make one comment that when this was done the last time, I attended every meeting I had myself up there. And just give an example, what the mayor give here, if you look at District 1 right there, it don't touch nothing but 3, 12, and 5. And if you had to move people out of 1 to them 3's already over the 7. And then they can't move it so far, because they just touch so many districts. So it ain't gonna be as, if it's got to be like he's saying, that close, which I'd like a little more information on that. In some areas, if you do that, you're gonna be moving every district on out till you equalize it.
Well, Tom Fleming, who is the chief person in the comptroller's office that's addressing this, spoke to one of these little groups I was telling you about in Nashville the other day, and the one thing he hammered on is this deviation, this plus or minus 5%, this 10% deviation is case law. Nowhere does it say 10%, but case law has established that as a standard that will pretty much have to
It's
be
gonna
met.
be a major task then than it was before.
Oh,
When you move, when you gotta move, just that's one example there, one district, and it don't touch but 3, and them 3 don't touch but 4, you shoving people on this way.
It goes on forever.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So,
And they tell 2 friends and so on and so on and so on. But,
Before when they done it, election commission done it over
yeah.
there, they tried to keep Burn to air, Smyrna to air, Millersburg to air, and then no rules to air. But I don't understand what he's saying right there, but I mean, I'm gonna be very interested in.
Well, the growth in the last 10 years is what's really miscued everything. So, I mean, this is the time to do it, and we have to do it, as far as redistricting, but, it is gonna be more of a task than it was the past few times
And
on
I just think
redistricting,
the
just
process
because of the
needs,
growth we've
the
had.
process needs to be transparent.
Oh, yeah.
got a lot of issues to look at. You don't, you know, we've got 21 commissioners, but law says you can have as few as 9 or you can have as many as 25. You can have districts with multiple commissioners. I'm not suggesting you would. You could have a thing where you have 2 commissioners represent one district and one represent another. The population has to be. A lot of variances here, and you may want to look at. There's a lot of folks that thought it was good, and I've heard a lot of articles when you went from 42 to 21. There's a lot of things that 21's too many. But you ought to have fewer than that to be a better functioning organ. Not suggesting it is or isn't. I'm just saying a lot of things to be thinking about here.
So you're saying if we just took out Commission District 1, we'd be okay? Is that what I heard you say?
I didn't say that.
Not even close.
I was thinking mine and Trey's could merge together, and then I would take the good stuff and let Trey have the bad, you know, on the bad.
They're all good.
I didn't.
No, on the challenging planning stuff, you know. But yeah, parks and stuff.
We're gonna get smaller.
Just reemphasize what I said. This is in the book from the Comptroller's Office. Our local redistricting meeting subject to the Open Meetings, Public Records Act. Yes. Meeting minutes and records should be kept collected for all meetings. So you need to have sort of an official governing committee to handle this if you really want to.
Have you seen it yet? If it's a 2/3 requirement, or?
I didn't see that.
Can't find it yet.
I haven't seen that. I just don't know. Okay.
Mayor, do we need to approve the concept and let you bring back a more formal draft of a resolution, or do we need to go ahead and work this details out today?
Here's an official resolution, a pattern they put forward, this Comptroller's Office. If you're not going to meet again until August, I think you need to put pretty much in place a resolution to adopt this redistricting committee process and define, at least at some preliminary basis, the makeup of this. The steering committee is going to have to approve these people, and I mean, you have to recommend them, forward them to the commission for approval. So you're not going to get this done till August commission meeting at best.
And it would be worthwhile to have it done. It would be nice to have this committee in place as of September 1. I don't give them 4 months. Because if you don't do it, then you may have a reconstituted steering committee. It's going to have to then see who goes on this committee. You could be another month further down. You're going to run out of time if you don't move on it.
That's only 4 months.
That's what I need to know.
So you need to maybe use this as the pattern for the committee, but then you need to say, what is the makeup? How do you constitute who's going to be on there? You need to identify those groupings.
Does that example, that resolution, the example that you used, does it make that up, or is that what we need to add to that
You've got to add to that. The committee may consist of as many members as the commission desires.
Okay.
Due to the impact of redistricting on voting precinct, it's recommended that the committee include the administrative election. That's all the guidance you have on who to put on the committee.
Can you read just an idea that you had there? Could you do that again?
I was suggesting that 2 election commissioners, 5 county commissioners, 1 the election administrator, and 1 at-large person to be selected that would assist with professional experience in this process.
9, you said?
9 people.
That goes back to like the road board commissioners and the school board. I mean, shouldn't they have 1 on there representing them?
You can. I think it's going to be too cumbersome.
Question what we're doing here.
Well, the Board of Commissioners is going to have to take that into consideration. At the last stop, you have to consider all of that, and I think because you're the only ones that can make the decision.
I think that selection of example or people that the mayor put forth is a pretty good mix of commissioners, of 1 at-large person, and the election commission and administrator.
The 9 that you've come up with, was there anything magical about that, or just
an odd number? And I put Moore County commissioners because ultimately they have to be getting the buy-in.
I'm just gonna throw this out. It may not be a good idea, but what if we increase the county commission from 5 to 7, making an 11-person committee, and that would be a full 1/3 of the county commissioners on that committee during the discussion process. Just a thought. I'm sure there'll be a number that will really want to be involved, and then others will be really interested.
I agree with the 11, but I think it ought to be one from the road board and one from school board, representative on there.
I kind of disagree with that, Jack. I'm sorry, but I do. I think if you get more of that politics involved, you're really going to get more and more bogged down as that process goes. That county commission does have the ultimate say-so, it looks like, and we don't have to expand it to 11, but I just thought it might be interesting to have 1 in 3 commissioners serve on that process. It's going to take a lot of time to do that. It's going to be a time commitment this fall to do that, or it could anyway. It may not be.
Who draws the zone, the school board zones and the road board zones? Is that?
Well, what they've done heretofore is you add together.
Any three
How many road
districts.
board members do we have?
7.
You're right,
Seven.
add
So
three
you
districts.
add 3 together, you just,
Yeah.
So we can change that.
It still cover 3 just like you are.
Yeah.
Because of
yeah, you still cover 3.
They
And the
still
school
got-
board will be the same way.
They still got a zone
Yeah.
that consists of certain school board, county commission districts, 3 of them.
But those zones do not change.
Well, they could change.
They
The
could
number-
change,
the
they could
numbers could
change based on how
yes.
these numbers
How
work
these
out.
play out.
But what I'm saying though is, like the school, my school board member has Joe Frank's district, my district, and Robert P's district. I think it's set up where it's Commission District 4, 6, and 7. And we've still got the road board member has got District 4, 6, and 7.
Okay, so they match
I think they had
up.
by private act on the
Yeah, they
road
match
board
up.
had original things. We'll go back and look at that to see how that exactly fits, but you're right. I think there's a private act even on the road board that directs that. One thing the area does that the election commission does still have control of is where voter precincts are located.
Yeah.
So regardless of where you draw your boundaries for you're really saying what's the commission districts. You're deciding who votes in commission districts. Election commission still decides precincts. They will typically try to nest those precincts within the districts, but they're the ones that decide how many
Well, there's
votes.
some out right now that we've got to get changed. They've got to be inside those districts, where they're going outside the district to vote
For
for
a
another
particular
district.
district,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and we got to get that.
And that's where you'll work with the election commission, but it's their call to where they have people go vote, the precinct voting is the call of the election commission.
Very well.
Let me just kind of add one more time, the 11 is, your opinion, Mayor, you had 9. Is the 11 making that committee too big for them to accomplish things, or?
Not necessarily. If all of them show up every time, it's a little bit cumbersome. 11 on a committee is
Understand.
a little bit more than functional sometimes. That doesn't, even if you stay with your 9, that doesn't mean other people couldn't come, and you could always allow them to participate. You just have this little group that would be the actual people making some reasonable decisions on how they move forward to the next iteration.
I'm assuming that the commission is the one that picks the 2 election commissioners? Is that?
Well,
Actually,
The steering committee pick
Steering
them.
committee?
Yeah.
I mean, I think they probably have their own little discussion about who they want to serve. I mean, at least probably
And they would apply.
one from each party probably.
Mhm.
They'd have that worked out and apply to the steering committee.
One, we need one more. And the administrator, so. One.
Mayor, I know that
Mr. Mayor.
Sir?
I noted at the last election commission meeting, Commissioner Jones stated a willingness to serve on this committee.
Well, that's good.
I would assume that still stands. He's at the election commission conference in Kingsport this week, and so he wasn't able to attend.
I discussed this process with him, and after I explained to him the complexity of it and the difficulty, I believe he supports putting the committee in place.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
If there's no other questions, I will make a motion that we set this committee up with the recommendation that the county mayor has alluded to, with 2 election commission members, 5 county commissioners, 1 administrative relations, and 1 at-large member.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion?
And would the steering committee appoint these for the resolution?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, of course, your election administrator is an automatic
Right.
appointee.
We intend on them going through the same process
Yes,
as
sir.
our other,
Yeah, I
they
think you'll
return
have
those
to.
applications, and we can talk about, I guess, this at the full commission meeting, that anybody interested could turn that into to Vicky and follow the
You're
same
announcing the
procedures.
vacancies.
That's right. Vacancy that's not yet been created. All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Black, no. Motion passes. Next item, we need to reschedule a September meeting due to the Labor Day holiday. Ms. Taylor has checked the calendar, and she has suggested August 29th, which would be the week prior to our scheduled meeting, as a potential free day if that fits your schedules. Still at 5:30.
There will be a new committee in place at that time.
Right, so we could set it as a tentative meeting, I guess, for them to, we can give them that date as one that we can mark off.
It'd be a
In
new,
your September meeting,
no,
in August?
September.
Oh, yeah, there won't be.
Established it?
It'll be the same committee, won't
Yeah, good.
In August.
it? Reset them in September.
But he's saying this is that August 29th, he's suggesting would be the September meeting date. You've already had an August meeting, and he's saying this would be the September meeting on August 29th.
But it'll still be the same committee, though.
Right.
Yeah. Because you won't select new committees until the September commission meeting.
Correct. I'm sorry. That makes sense.
I'm with you now.
Okay.
You good with it?
I had
29?
Yeah.
We're good.
Good. Good.
All right.
I'm good. Mr. Phillips,
What day is that on?
Monday. It'll still be on Monday, just the
Okay,
Monday
yeah.
prior to Labor Day.
what date is that again?
Monday, August 29th. Okay. All right.
That's not of your retirement day.
Any other business?
No. Did it by consensus.
And seeing no other business, move to adjourn.